It's 4:15, I'm going to call the meeting to order. Please rise and join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, and justice for all. Roll call, Sam Martin, here. Bob Freeman, here. Rick Morgan's here. Public input. Anybody have anything?
Yes, I would like to talk about the adult program we have going on Tuesday mornings. We're going to be having a clinic tomorrow. It's called pickleball. It's basically a combination of tennis, ping pong, and as you can see, all these yellow lines is the court, and we have the net set up right there. It's a program for adults. Like I said, the target population is primarily retirees, just to get out being active. And basically, it's a very quick sport, back and forth. You typically play doubles, and but it's low impact on your joints. So if anyone's interested, we'll be playing Tuesday mornings starting at 9:30.
So there's 2 people playing?
Yes.
4
Yeah.
people at a time?
Yep, 4 people, 2-on-2. Play with it's not a racket, it's like a paddle. And then the ball is kind of like a wiffle ball with all these holes. And it's a pretty exciting sport. So if any adults out there wants to come on down and try it, Tuesday mornings at 9:30. And we'll be having a clinic tomorrow. So anyone watching wants to come out and try it, please do. All right, thank you.
No, we'll start into the red folder. First of all, we had a department head meeting this afternoon. We did end up going into non-public under 91A32A on a personnel matter. And I would move that we seal those minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Normally, we would, if at all possible, schedule even non-public meetings and post them in advance. This was a posted workshop, department head meeting, and as a result of information there, it led us to go into non-public for a personnel matter. So I want to make sure and be clear on that. The minutes of the Selectmen's meeting, which occurred on Monday, January 8th, I make a motion we accept them as printed. All in favor? Aye. We have the minutes of the Selectmen's work session, which occurred on Monday, January 8th. I make a motion we accept them as printed.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. We have a payroll reimbursement request for the water and sewer in the amount of $3,107.36. I make a motion we sign it.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. We have the check voucher totals. Payroll for week ending 1/20 with payroll taxes was $46,383.85. We had accounts payable week ending 1/13 of $75,637.36. We dispersed to the fire precincts $109,856.92. The total paid last week of $231,878.13. Additionally, we had water and sewer accounts payable in the amount of $8,164.40. I make a motion we sign.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. As I've explained continuously, these are the check voucher totals. We do review each and every bill that comes in, and it's initialed by each one of the Board of Selectmen.
I asked Karen to move those around so we
Yeah.
could find them easier.
I agree, thank you.
Welcome.
You do have a good idea once in a while.
Good doobie, you.
I'm such a good doobie.
You must have been on rock a little.
Except that a broken clock's even run twice a day. This is to the trustee of trust funds. It's regarding reimbursement to the Water Capital Reserve Fund. It's for meters being installed in the water system. There are 4 bills, one for $2,512.50, then for $3,125, $1,000, and $375. And the bills are attached. I make a motion to sign.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have a contract for use of facilities. Aaron Deegan wants to use Town Hall on March 23rd for an international night. Schedule's been okayed by Craig. Deposit's been paid. I make a motion to approve it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have the Highway Department work log, which is here. Anybody'd like to look at it? We have a request for abatement. This is on map 252, lot 8. The original assessment was $240,500. The revised assessment is $236,600 for a difference of $3,900. It results in a refund of $84.83. Our assessor recommends that we grant it. He says he did a complete inspection and noted the quality grade should have been adjusted to an average plus 10. Additionally, the length of the house is actually 39'4", which was rounded up to 40 feet. Should have been rounded to 39, changed the length. Noted the view adjustment should have been plus 75, not plus 50 as well. Net result was a change of $3,900. I make a motion we approve it.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. We have a memo that was sent to Ellen White. It's from DES regarding the milfoil grants. Thank you for your patience in waiting to hear about grant funds for exotic species control 2018. This year, 42 projects are seeking funds for control activities with a total project cost exceeding $1.5 million, which is up from last year as both number of projects and cost of control actions are increasing. Based on this, your project will receive up to $8,991 in state grant funds for 2018. How does that compare to what we got last year?
Last year, it ends up being 25% of the total project cost. Last year, we received 30%, and in years past, it was around 40%. So it's on the gradual decline as more need is presenting itself. The grant funds are spreading out to more communities.
Okay. This, I guess, might be a question for our representative. The funding for the grants, invasive species, isn't all of that funding now generated by the tag on the added on boat registration?
Some of it is, yeah.
But it seems like they're getting more and more requests for money, which means the amount that they're giving out is going down and down and down. But at some point, I hope somebody is looking at what is happening with the revenue stream.
They are. There's a state commission that has appointments on by the governor that
Okay.
looks at that invasive species, the whole system.
Okay.
But I don't know how much is in that
Okay.
fund.
Is that going to have an impact on what we need to raise in our warrant?
I did figure it out. We were going to have a surplus with what we were estimating to raise this year. We were going to have a surplus of about $4,700. Wait, no, not $4,700. We were going to have about $3,400 left over, and it's going to cut it back. If we only raise $10,000 by warrant article, it's going to cut it back to about $2,000, I think it is.
My thoughts are that we ought to, knowing this seems to be a trend, we ought to start to increase the amount of money that we're putting into that fund. My fear is, listen, we've spent now an awful lot of money over the last 20 years, maybe even, really over the last 10, trying to address the milfoil problem in Ossipee Lake, and we're gaining ground. I mean, we've gained a lot of ground if you look at the maps. If we get to a point though where we slack off, even for a year, my fear is that you would lose an awful lot of the ground of the game. I'm gonna suggest, to make sure that that fund remains healthy, that we increase the funding for the milfoil invasive species control fund from 10,000 to 20,000.
I think that's a good idea because we're starting this year with just shy of 20,500.
I'll second that. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Let's make sure and get that on, make that
Draft
change.
warrant articles.
This is a certificate of authority, and this is on a grant which we had already agreed that we were going to participate in with the New Hampshire Department of Justice, and we had actually appointed Ellen to be our representative. What we didn't know is the police chief had already supplied some of the documents, so there was a mix-up. So what this does is I'll say, read it. We, the Board of Selectmen, hereby certify that the Town of Ossipee Board of Selectmen voted to accept funds and enter into a grant agreement with the New Hampshire Department of Justice. The Town of Ossipee Board of Selectmen further authorizes the police chief to execute any documents which may be necessary for this contract. This authorization has not been revoked, annulled, or amended in any manner whatsoever, and remains in full force and effect as the day hereof. And the following now occupies the office indicated above, and is James Gale, as police chief. I make a motion to sign.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. We have a copy here of a wetlands permit from 80 Ridge Road. Folks are constructing a 24 by 24 beach and a 12 by 16 storage shed. We get copied on all of the applications. We have a letter from the Conservation Commission. Board of Selectmen, the Conservation Commission has been in the process of designing trail signs to be placed at 8 of the Conservation Commission's properties with walking trails. The Conservation Commission, through Ralph Buchanan, have discussed with Tom Lunam, wood technology teacher at Kingswood Regional High School, of having the students fabricate and construct the signs. The Conservation Commission at the January 10th meeting are requesting to appropriate from the money market account the amount of $250 for each sign to cover the cost of poplar wood and material. The signs would subsequently be placed at the windows on the Ossipee and Town Forest. I have attached the Conservation Commission meeting minutes and design drawing for confirmation of the motion and for your approval. Everybody get a chance to read this? Have any questions on it?
That's my suggestion.
Okay. I make a motion that we approve what the Conservation Commission is trying to do with the signs.
Second.
Any discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have a copy of a check that we received from Northeast Recovery for scrap metal in the amount of $383.13. We have a contract for use of facilities. This is from the Rainbow Ridge Landowners Association. We want to have their annual meeting here on May 19th. The schedule's been okayed. I make a motion we approve. All in favor? Aye. We have an application for a veterans exemption. It's been reviewed by a tax assessor, and person meets the qualifications. I make a motion we approve it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We have a second application for a veterans exemption. It's been reviewed by our assessor, and the person does in fact meet the requirements and service dates. I make a motion we approve it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the third, again, it's for our veterans. Veterans exemption. This is a two-part. It's been okayed by our assessor for the regular veterans exemption. And that we have to deny the disabled vet portion because they are only 20% disabled. Make a motion, we approve it as recommended by our assessor. All in favor? Aye. There's several notices of decision. This one is from the, who's it from? Notice of decision, this is in case number 17-12-V, 56 Main Street, Ossipee. No, it's the zoning board. And this is for, their application was denied, and this was for a sober living facility on Main Street in Center Ossipee. We have a notice of decision from the zoning board. This is on case number 17-13-V, Timothy and Deborah Regan. They were granted a variance. We have a copy of the consent calendar from the executive council, which is here if anybody would like to see it. We have a notice of decision from the planning board. This is on case number 17-3-BLA. Who was it?
Line adjustment.
Conditional approval, granted conditional approval for a boundary line adjustment. This is Neil and Catherine Monroe, and Marcel and Deborah Bellius. You have a letter from Charter Communications here in the folder. It's on the scheduling, programming rather. And a copy of the Watershed News, which is here in the folder if anybody would like to look at it. We have a water and sewer abatement request. This is from St. Joseph's Church. There was a misreading of the meter. They were charged for 43,000 gallons of water when their actual usage was 430. You can see why they might want an abatement. It results in an abatement of $678.92. I make a motion we approve.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. We have a water and sewer warrant. We'll authorize the tax collector to collect $130.20. I make a motion we sign it.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. We have a water and sewer warrant authorizing the tax collector to collect $200.20. I make a motion we sign it.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. And we have a water and sewer warrant authorizing the tax collector to collect $500. I make a motion we sign.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. That concludes the red folder. Old business. Brad's not here. Anybody have anything under old business?
Were those budgets in there, the ones that we needed to?
No. Did I keep them?
Somebody did.
Huh?
Somebody did.
Oh, what did I do? I think I had a mouse.
That wouldn't surprise me. Not me.
Oh, sitting there?
I don't have it.
Yeah, they are. 55 of them. Thank you.
That's all right. These are five budgets rather that we had previously approved, that we have made some amendments to. Those amendments need to be voted on before we can go back to the budget committee with them. The first one is on the Selectmen's office. We had approved $747,188. I want to amend that amount to $732,273, about $80,000 less. No, not 80,000. $15,000 less.
A second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. The ZBA, the Conservation Commission, and the Planning Board. And the reason for the 15,000 reduction in the Selectmen's office is we moved all of the costs associated with the board secretary to the boards where they belonged. Took it out of ours and put it where it belonged. And proportionately did it between the three boards that use the secretary services.
Four.
Four boards. So the ZBA first, we had approved $10,121. I make a motion, we amend that to $13,489.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The planning board, we had approved $21,065. I would want to amend that to 35,000. I move that we amend that to $35,634.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. In the Conservation Commission, we had approved a budget of $9,044.25. I make a motion, we amend that to $11,800.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. And the last is under the government buildings budget. We had previously approved a budget of $239,707. I want to amend that, and make a motion we amend that to $225,475. So that's about $14,000 less than what we had previously approved.
I'll second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. As is often the case, when we start the budget process, it's way back in September. And then as the budgets and as the year finalized, we get a lot clearer picture on what it is we need. So those amendments will be then handled by the Budget Committee, which meets Wednesday night at 6 or 7?
7.
7 o'clock at,
6:30?
6:30.
split the difference, 6:30 on Wednesday night at the Freight House. Anything else in the old business? Public input. Sir?
The Whittier covered bridge, any status on when the final plans are to be available for review?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the final plans just came in.
I believe so. We just got the wetlands permit application. We got a copy of that at the last meeting. And
I think the final design is done. The last update we got, and I'm sorry that Brad's not here, because he could answer this better than I can, but the final design was done. It has now gone to the Wetlands Board for their permitting process. I know the wetlands permit is in. So those plans are available for you to see if you would like. We just have to get hold of Brad has it.
Get hold of Brad, okay. Because I was
Yes.
concerned about making sure of the provisions for parking associated with the covered bridge, so people could get out of their vehicles to, go on to the bridge.
That I don't think is in the plan. I think the only thing that Brad has would be the final design
to put the bridge back on the.
to put the bridge back on the new abutments. That is an issue that still has to be decided by us with public hearings as to what there's going to be for parking and where.
Okay. That's why I'm checking in, because I
Yeah.
know that I had not seen anything recently in regards to
No, it's-
details
it's,
of
you know,
that.
Unfortunately, I should have got the guys who were here from the state to take my lunch back, because I would be eating free for a couple of weeks. When they assured me that it was going to go back across the river in 2017, I knew they were nuts, and here we are. I'm hopeful,
2019?
no, I'm
big
hopeful actually
soft spot.
2018.
Yeah.
Once I get to the final design, which they have, now as soon as I get the wetlands permit, that should be all they need then to put it out to bid. So it should be bid by spring and constructed,
So it was just submitted to the Wetlands Bureau?
Yeah, I believe the end of December, early
The
January.
end of December, okay.
Yeah.
Because once they note it as administrative complete, they have 75 days to do
Yeah.
their review.
but I
So-
can't imagine at this point, to be honest with you, they've been actively involved in this project from the get-go. And it's now going on 10 years. I would hope they would not use the 75 days.
It depends on the backlog, but you could have interested parties, you could have New Hampshire Fish and Game that could express interest.
I don't know, but it's.
And then 30 days, once they've completed their review and issued a permit, then there's another additional 30 days for the feds to step in. So nothing can happen until 30 days beyond that approval date, so. Okay.
We're told
Okay.
we're on track for it to be back across the river in 2018.
That'd be great.
I would agree, before it finally rots. You know.
I was just wondering if it was close enough to the river so the kids could stand on the end of it and fish.
No, anyway. You know, we laugh about it, and to be honest with you, and I've said before, and I'll
Sore spot.
continue to say, it's immensely sad. And if anybody who truly thinks that government works ought to take a quick look at this project. It's been 10 years and $2 million, and it's still not back across the river. It's pathetic.
Yeah, especially when I've watched other projects in other towns that are similar like that, it's not as protracted.
It's pathetic. But anyway, that is what it is. And that's, on a side note, we are going forward, and there'll be a warrant article at town meeting. We are going forward on our own to install sidewalks here in the village. And that is another case where we will be able to completely construct the sidewalks at a fraction of what it would cost to work with the state. It's crazy, and it will get done.
You'll have the money for a sidewalk lot?
We already do. We are already cleaning sidewalks. We do it with a small tractor. But it needs to happen. You know, you get a whole bunch of kids that leave that school every day and don't have a safe place to walk through the middle of town. It's crazy. No. So, it all looks good. I mean, when we did the bridge, I mean, because of the, the nonprofit kicking in as well, we only paid 2% of that $2 million. But it looks good, but it's also taken 10 years, and it's crazy. Anything else on the public input? Ed, any updates from county or Concord?
The bill I submitted for using equalized valuation for the school taxes will be voted on in committee. So it goes from myself to the committee, and then the committee works on the bill. They're going to vote on it. They had the hearing last week, and they're going to vote on what to do with it on Wednesday. Tomorrow, they're having a work session, and they have several other bills that are similar to mine that have to do with similar things that they were going to work in. Now, I don't know if they're going to move this to a study committee. There has been talk that it will go to a study committee. That's not killing it. It just basically means that they know there's a problem and that they could send it to a study committee, and the study committee would offer future ideas for legislation to address it. There's many people on the committee that also are from property poor towns. I don't like to use that term, but I said it's the most accurate, who also totally understand what we're going through. So we'll see what happens to it on Wednesday. And even if it gets an ITL, it doesn't go to a subcommittee, I'm still going to make the point by pulling it off the consent calendar on the House floor to make sure everybody knows what's up. So we'll go from there. And it cannot be the only chance for this.
Mm-hmm.
This has to continue forward. This type of legislation has been put in before, but it's put in, submitted, it fails, and then everybody just leaves it alone. You can't. You
Yeah.
have to keep going in one direction.
The one thing I learned in 25 years of working with the state is the squeaky wheel does get the grease. You have to be doing it.
I mean, you don't want knee-jerk reactions
No.
by a government. That's why it's designed to move very slowly. It can be very frustrating. And if it's a really good idea, it should survive. So let's see what happens after this. I'm hoping I can get it to a study committee because, maybe there is a different way of doing it, but at least we have to keep that conversation going.
Good.
And also, tomorrow, there's a hearing that I have to give testimony on. That's the other bill that I put in, and it's in reference to the HHS audit. I've researched this for the last 2 weeks. The last actual audit of Health and Human Services was back in 2009. You've said this often here, that often they have these studies, and they get the study, they throw it on the shelf, and then nobody ever does anything about it. Well, I have a feeling, because I cannot find the corrective action that took place. In the audit in 2009, it says that there were a lot of things that needed to be corrected. Who went back to make sure that it was corrected? So I'm going to make that point tomorrow, and it's a long time ago without an audit, a performance-type audit, because the costs for the Bureau of Elderly and Adult Services on your county taxes are huge. So that needs to be addressed to find out if the algorithm they use to charge the apportionment rate is accurate. And it's gotten so complicated, almost like the school taxes, where nobody knows how it works. And when the government tells me they don't even know how it works and they can't explain it, something's got to happen. So we'll see at the end of this week.
Good, thank you. There are two things. One, and we're not prepared to really discuss it tonight. We have been approached by two businesses in town who are interested in whether or not the town of Ossipee will vote to allow Comeau. It was enabling legislation that has been passed which allows Comeau in towns which vote to allow it. There are two processes by which it could get on the ballot, either by the selectmen putting it on, or if 25 residents chose to submit a petition, then it would have to be put on. I'm not prepared to answer any questions about it or even make an opinion because I don't know anything about it. I've never played Comeau. We do have a brochure that was put out by the Municipal Association to help answer questions that I haven't even had a chance to read, but I definitely will read it. Time is somewhat of, what's the deadline for warrant articles? February
6th for petition warrant article.
6th? Do we have the same deadline basically for us to put them in?
No. You have to, well, we'd have to have it done before the public hearing. You'd have to have your vote.
But not if it's not a budget item, right? And this isn't a budget item. So we would have until,
Well, you do have to have a public hearing on it beforehand.
Okay.
So, and
All
it
right.
has to, it would have to be done by the 16th of February.
okay. So,
And I have to
Good.
advertise it with sufficient notice.
but what if somebody sends it, but
But if it's petition warrant article,
then we don't have to have a public hearing?
I don't know, I have to read through it.
Okay.
I haven't got that.
Long story short, we'll look into it. We have been contacted by a couple of businesses who are interested. I'm not prepared to make an opinion one way or the other of what I would do and whether or not we will put it on. The second one, I've asked the town administrator to look at, again, enabling legislation was passed, which allow towns to give a tax break to commercial and industrial new businesses that may want to come in. I mentioned it to our Economic Development Committee at their roundtable discussion that they had here 2 weeks ago now? 2 weeks ago. And we will be putting something together on that. I quite frankly think the town would be crazy not to jump on that bandwagon. Years and years ago, for those who have been here a long time, the towns used to be able to do that. And I'll give you an example of when they did it. Back when the Ames department store first came here, that was allowable. So when Ames came here, for the first year, they only paid 10% of their taxes. Second year, 20, third year, 30, on up until they were paying their full share. They employed 75 people, provided a department store for all of us to be able to use. It was an absolute win-win. I mean, even for those, short years when they weren't paying, only paying a small percentage of their taxes, it wasn't like they were costing us anything. It was still a net benefit. So for a long time, that's not been allowed. That law has been changed, and there is an allowable process by which that can happen again and again. I think the town would be nuts not to jump on that. So we're putting that together, and I hope to see that on the warrant at town meeting. To be just ultimately, it's up to the voters, but it could definitely be a win-win. And I would submit, I know Conway, I've seen it advertised in the paper that they're doing it. I think they're only doing it on industrial. You have the choice of doing it on industrial, commercial, or both. I would think it would be a huge competitive advantage to have it over a town or a neighboring town that didn't have it. And at the same time, it would be a competitive disadvantage if we didn't do it and everybody around us did. So, again, I hope to have that on there, and we'll have plenty of opportunity to discuss it at more length. Anybody have anything else? If not, I make a motion, we adjourn. All in favor? Aye. Thank you.